By this time, I was just trying to stay alive and couldn't have cared less if Caesar got loose. Indeed, I wanted him to get loose, but the leash loop was tight around my wrist. I found to my horror that I was along for the ride, and what a ride it was. We went through 3 more yards and the back of a bike rental shop along the road and finally slammed into the back doorway of a small cafe where, I learned later, Arnie sometimes went to beg his meals. Arnie disappeared into the kitchen. Caesar tried to follow him and would have made it except that I became jammed in the door opening and even he could not pull me free. There was a large woman there holding a very impressive cast iron frying pan, and she looked at me as she might look at a cockroach, looked directly at my head and then at the frying pan, which she hefted professionally. "Who are you?" "I'm with him," I said, pointing at Caesar while trying to cover my body. My shorts were in tatters and my feet were badly scraped. "It's wrong to chase cats," she said. Why was he so sorry? Pause the video and take a moment to think about that, please. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. Why was he so sorry? Pause the video and take a moment to think about that, please. Perhaps more than any time in my life, I meant it. "Go away," she pointed to the door with her frying pan, "and take your dog with you." And so Caesar entered my life. He became many things to us: friend, entertainer, horror show, but he was never boring, and his life comes back now in a montage of memories. There was the Halloween when he greeted a little boy who came to the door in a werewolf costume. There was one moment, priceless, when the two eyed each other, hairy monster mask to Great Dane muzzle, at the exact same height. I'm not certain what the little boy expected, but he didn't quail. He leaned forward and growled. I'm not sure what Caesar had expected either, but it certainly wasn't an angry werewolf. He made a sound like a train in a tunnel and disappeared into a dark corner of the bedroom closet and would not come out until all the little people stopped coming and the doorbell quit ringing. And it might be noted here that he had a remarkable memory. Every one of the 7 years that he was with us, when the first trick-or-treater came to the door on Halloween, no matter the costume, Caesar went into the bedroom closet, pulled a housecoat over his eyes, and would not come out until it was over. He had a great heart, but courage against monsters wasn't in him. Then there was the time I was playing Get the Kitty with him. Arnie wasn't there. Usually he was off eating or trying to get married, and I would run around the house yelling at Caesar, "Get the kitty! Get the kitty!" He would lop with me, jumping over furniture and knocking down tables. For obvious reasons, I usually played this game only when my wife wasn't there. And I would run and yell until he was so excited he would tear around the house by himself. I know, but it must be remembered we had no television or other form of home entertainment. If it worked well enough, I could go and pour a cup of coffee and drink it while Caesar kept galloping, looking for the mystery kitty. On this one morning, I had done it particularly well, and he was crazy with excitement, running up and down the stairs, spraying spit. We often had gobbets on the ceilings when he shook his head, bounding through the air with great glee, and just then, at the height of his crazed romp, just then the front doorbell buzzed, and without thinking, I opened it to see a package delivery man standing there with a box in his arms. Caesar went over me, through the screen, and into the guy at shoulder height. He didn't bite, didn't actually hurt the man at all. In fact, when the man got down on his back, Caesar licked his face, an experience which I think could be duplicated by sticking your head in a car wash, but the effects were the same as if he'd attacked. The package went up in the air and crashed to the ground with a sound of breaking crockery. It had been a family heirloom vase sent by an aunt, and had been would be the correct words. The delivery man wet his pants and in a cloud of dog spit and dust clawed his way free, ran back to the truck, and was gone before I knew exactly what had happened. Soon after, we received a polite note saying that that particular company would no longer deliver packages to us. Caesar never became angry. I never saw him fight or be aggressive to another dog. And while he loved to chase cats, Arnie particularly, when the day was done, I would frequently find Arnie curled up on Caesar's back by the stove, the two of them sound asleep. But Caesar would get excited and forget himself where there was food involved, particularly when the food was a hot dog. I think he would have sold his soul for a hot dog, with mustard and relish. When he had hot dogs or went on a picnic, he would sit and stare until somebody handed him a wiener, and then he would hit it like a gator. You had to throw it or he would get your whole hand in his mouth up to the elbow. I once was invited to a picnic and softball game in a town nearby, and since it was a nice day, I thought it would be fun to bring Caesar. Had I thought a little more, I would have remembered two things: that it was a picnic and they would have hot dogs, and that Caesar loved to play ball. But then, had I thought a little more, I probably would not have owned Caesar in the first place. I brought him out of the back of the truck, and people came to see him. One young boy said he looked like a four-legged dinosaur with hair, and after all the oohs and ahs at his size settled down, I left him in the truck with the windows open, told him forcefully, "Stay!" Ha! And I went off to see what was happening. I had gone about 40 yards, saying hello to people and picking up a can of soda, when I met an old friend and stopped to chat. I had my back to the parking area, and I suppose heard some of the commotion that was starting, but it didn't enter my mind until the man I was speaking to looked over my shoulder and said, "Isn't that Caesar?" I turned and my heart froze. Caesar was standing next to a small girl. She couldn't have been 4, and he towered over her. That wasn't so frightening as what the little girl was doing. She had taken a bite off a hot dog and was holding the remainder out to Caesar. Images of destruction roared through my mind. He had truly enormous jaws. I could fit my head inside his mouth, and he snapped at his food violently, especially hot dogs. It was too far for me to run in time, and I yelled, but it was too late by ages, and I wanted to close my eyes but didn't dare, and as I watched, Caesar incredibly, with the gentleness of a baby lamb, reached delicately forward and took the hot dog from the girl. He swallowed it in one bite, then licked her face and moved on, though I was calling him, looking for the next child. They loved him. Kids came from all corners and fed him hot dog after hot dog, and he was as careful and as gentle as he'd been with the little girl. By this time, he had the attention of the crowd, and everybody loved him so much. I thought they were going to riot when I tried to put him back in the truck. I let him out when the game started, and he went to work in the outfield. He would sit around center field in back of the outfielders and watch the batter. If the ball came long or went between the outfielders, he would grab it and run to the nearest player and drop it. I know of 2 grounders he shagged to stop a double. I hit both of them, and he was held at first both times because Caesar stopped the ball when it slithered past both infielders and outfielders. He loved the game and loved the day, and when the afternoon was done, we went back to the truck, and a little girl came running up to me and held out a piece of paper. Drawn on it in crayon was a picture of a dog, a big dog, with a yellow sun in back of him and a stick figure hitting at balls. And scrawled across the bottom was, "We love you, Caesar." He is gone now, gone some years from a combination of dysplasia and cancer that was impossible to cure or fix, but I still have the drawing in a box somewhere. It shows up from time to time when I'm moving or straightening things, and I think of him and the perfect summer afternoon when we ate hot dogs and played ball and made some new friends. Why do you think Gary Paulson kept the picture of a dog with "We love Caesar" written at the bottom? Pause the video and think about that, please. For your written response today, I would like you to remember all the dogs that we've met so far. Think about them and write a short paragraph to convince me that I should like one better than all the others. Remember to use some convincing details.